Good. You can start your streaming, and then Robin and Steven, I want to make sure you can hear us okay. Can you hear us okay? Okay, awesome.
Well, that's not confusing. I know an iMac I'm not voting.
I need a reminder, like, is everybody, I think we need a verbal, I'm good with Steven being remote for voting, right?
Yeah, yes.
So,
Yes.
Yes.
a motion, yeah.
I move to have it be okay that Stephen is wrong.
Just, if you could just say your ayes verbally.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and then not voting. Then Stephen, you're good with it, I'm assuming? Okay. All right, sorry. So, in full disclosure, Karen did call me and say, hey, it's snowing, do you still want to have this meeting tonight? And my first thought was, it's not snowing that much, how bad can it be? And I was like, yeah, we'll keep the meeting. Hopefully, everybody was okay with that. Please, if there's ever a time where you don't feel safe coming, obviously don't. Right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I want to recognize, so we'll go ahead and get started calling meeting to order, acknowledging absent members. So Malcolm is dealing with, he's not in town, he's dealing with some personal stuff, and then Robin, you're remote, so we talked about that already. I don't think I got any other notices. I did not get any other notices, so those are the ones I'm aware of. And then I also just wanted to recognize members, guests. So if you wouldn't mind just saying hello and who you are. And
my name is Harry Potter. Yes, it is my actual name. It's contractually obligated to say that.
Harry Potter guest is always nice.
I'm a resident on.
I'm sorry, can that gentleman please step to the microphone?
Oh yeah, just real quick. Sorry. This is not obligatory, by the way. If you're like, hey, I don't want to do this, but I would just,
That's fine.
I always want to open the floor if you're, yeah, go for it.
Yes, my name is Harry Potter. It is my actual name. I live on Meter Lane, over on kind of the New Market side. And I'm sort of curious about what the Energy Committee does, and so looking to just observe and learn more.
Excellent. We're glad that you're here. Thanks for joining. And, feel free to listen and observe and provide feedback.
Love it.
As needed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is a good reminder and a plug that we have at least one empty seat. So if you have interest in joining the Energy Committee, you can email myself at a different time. All right. Moving on, we'll go to approval of minutes, which were emailed out earlier today. Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Actually, and we talked about this last time, but you're good doing minutes?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as everybody's good getting them a little later than always anticipated.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
So did folks have a chance, or you can take a minute now to review them? They were digitally, I don't have them printed, so. Did everybody have a chance, or do you need a minute to process them?
I didn't have any comments.
I've read them over, and my only comment is that I also raised the question about the carbon plan that I'd like them to include the whether normalized.
Right, okay. What you talking about during Sophie's presentation?
Yes.
So, just for my memory, just say a little bit more. So I got the piece about embodied carbon. There was another.
Yes. The other issue was weather normalization. I'd like to know if the plan includes weather normalization, whether the emissions calculation includes weather normalization.
Okay. Yep. I'll add that.
It sounds like just an additional bullet after the embodied carbon. Stephen, I think the question was asked and probably not, I don't know that there is an answer, right? It doesn't sound like it was. Are you waiting for a response, or you just want it included that you asked?
I'm curious, if they're not doing it, how do they account for that? I mean, I think there should at least be a disclosure in the document that the emissions depends upon the weather for a particular year.
Okay. Okay, so I think with Sophie wrapping up, I think, right? She's wrapping up this year. We don't have a fellow coming in
Right.
until 27, 28.
27.
So like fall 27.
Probably summer 27.
Oh, okay. All
Summer.
right. So in about a year and a half or so, we'll have somebody that can maybe pick up that ball and carry it forward, right? So I just want to set expectations. I don't think we're going to have that answered immediately. Yeah. But it's good to capture it on the minutes, Stephen.
Okay.
I'm just looking through the minutes. I read it before. I think just tying some emails that I saw. Sorry, I'm just kind of vocalizing here, but Steve, you also engaged with some folks on CPC&H, and Todd, you wrote a really nice response to a resident that was asking about it. So that relates to some of the minutes. That's just why I'm calling it out. And there perhaps is a topic tonight. I don't know, maybe we could talk about that during your update. It's like, how might we communicate that message? Yeah. And then we tabled the EV charger updates. Matthias isn't here today, so we'll see if he arrives. And then, yes.
I'm not actually on the agenda tonight, but I'd like to jump in on the EV charger
Okay.
topic.
Yeah.
Planning Board will be having a public hearing next Wednesday, March 11th, for the zoning change to allow EV chargers everywhere. Okay? It'd be really nice if somebody from here could show up and say, yes, please do it, thank you.
Okay.
At the public hearing, it just show the committee support for it.
Okay.
When is that? Is it next
Next Wednesday,
Wednesday?
A week from tomorrow.
a week from tomorrow. Yeah.
Gotcha.
March 11th.
All right. And with that, so is there a motion to accept the minutes with the adjustment that Stephen Fellows called out?
Yeah, I just added that bullet. I'll redistribute that.
Motion to approve the minutes?
There you go.
Second.
We need verbals. Yeah, aye or
Aye. Andrew Coppins, aye.
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 aye. Aye. Stephen.
Aye.
All right. So approved. Okay, so then we get to tonight's agenda. Tonight we were primarily going to talk about, we protected time to talk about CPACER, and to be honest, I can't remember who was going to primarily drive that conversation.
Well, you were.
No, well, I've got, so I reached out to Clean Energy New Hampshire to see if they could help shepherd it through the process. Because although the town adopted a CPACER program around 2010-ish, the program has radically been changed. And there are now new requirements in the state statute. And someone needs to take some time to figure out really how the process works. So what the community would be responsible for, what the state agency that would vet applicants would be responsible for. Someone needs to rewrite the resolution to include the appropriate language from the new statute and kind of evaluate that. And I think that the Clean Energy New Hampshire is open to doing that, but right now they're kind of bogged down in following legislative activity, which has been brisk. And so if we're prepared to wait a bit, I think they'll follow up with us, but they just haven't had the cycles at this time to do it.
No, that's fair.
So I looked at a recorded webinar that Clean Energy New Hampshire kind of organized, and the fellow from the financing outfit gave a presentation, and they have model ordinances. And I thought maybe we would invite him as a guest. He indicated his willingness to work with towns on how to get this through.
And is that connected to CPC? Is that?
So the webinar was put on by Clean Energy New Hampshire.
Okay.
He was the guest expert speaker.
I see.
And I can find that contact information But at the time, he was interested in working with towns to answer questions.
Okay.
So why don't I chase that down?
Yeah, is that
Would
everybody-
that be,
Todd, do you feel good at that in addition to the?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
that's great.
excellent. So am I hearing then, and Matt, I don't, like for CPACER for tonight, should we just table it and say,
Yes.
yeah? Okay. Go ahead. Regan.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I put together just very basic, kind of overview of what the program is, what the requirements are, but the devil's kind of in the details, and it sounds like connecting with
Yeah.
past efforts and really being sort of specific about that. And then if there are model ordinances too, that's fantastic. So.
Yeah, and like after the program is adopted, if people take advantage of it, we'll need to work with the town clerk tax collector's office to track these parcels to, I believe, have an additional payment on their annual tax bill to offset the cost, and then to get the money potentially to the state agency that manages it. And I just don't know how any of that works.
Right, okay.
And we'll want to include Rachel Dean, the town clerk tax collector as well, so she's comfortable with it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Great, so I guess to start, Matt, if you can reach out, contact, I don't know, do you think that's something that, well, I don't know if that's something we should plan for in April or plan for beyond April. Just let me know,
I
guess.
can
Yeah.
get that back to you.
Yeah. And I don't, I guess, open question, there is no like timeline or rush on CPACERs, right? There's no like impending
Yeah.
date.
For a lot of towns, they would need to wait, I believe, until their town meeting. So they'd want to have this ready to go for town meeting. But in Durham, we don't operate under that system. The council can adopt it at any point. So
Okay.
we can take our time, and when we're ready, we'll move it forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess, sorry, I skipped a section there, but like breaking this down, I wanted to hold the election for officers, right? So there's a meeting that we're intending to do that. I did not, and we gave everybody time to think about it. I did not get any emails saying, oh, I have interest in being, except, no, I'm just kidding. It's like, oh gosh. So we can talk about how we want to accomplish it. I'm going to do this a little bit out of order so everybody can kind of think about it. So we'll come back to the election of officers later this meeting, but just so folks know, there was no expression of interest through email. So if there is an interest here, we can talk about that and then decide if we can move forward with the election or postpone it, I guess would be the alternative, right? But let's talk about that in a minute. So everybody think about whether or not you want to be chair or vice chair. That's, I guess, what I'm throwing out there. So, sorry, going back to activities towards 26 goals. CPACER we just covered, and we're largely going to table. The next one was the IR camera for Library of Things, which I mentioned that there was a brief communication between, Steve and you and other folks. So I think I'll just open it up for those that tried it. Because Matt, I know you tried it. I know we have one here. I'm not actually sure where the other one is. I think Malcolm might have it, or Robin.
I have one,
You have one, okay.
yes.
Okay. So maybe just open discussion, like how did it, Stephen Fellows, maybe we'll start with you, just how did it go?
Yes,
What was some feedback? Yeah.
I found it confusing at first, but after I used it for a couple hours, I pretty much learned how to operate it. It was I thought I did an excellent job of portraying the air leaks.
Nice. So you were able to identify different,
Yes, I was able to see the thermal holes.
great. Steve, what about your experience?
Yeah, I thought, well, as I think Matthias had mentioned before, the manual that comes with it is garbage, so that is not at all helpful. And I don't know, Steve, if you looked at the instructions that Matthias had put out a Google Doc or something to add to, for us to add our own instructions to it. So I added some, he put down basically an introduction on how to use it, as a, how to scan for stuff basically. And then I added some things, just kind of like this button does that, this button does that, because the manual is just totally devoid of use. So, anyway, if people have a chance, we can circulate
I
that. and-
thought I requested access to edit it,
Yeah,
but I never got,
you never got
Got
it.
that
You had to,
granted.
yeah, he sent out the Google Doc, but you had to ask apparently to edit it.
yeah,
And I got access, but it looks like if you had asked for it, he may have missed it.
Yeah,
given it to you
okay.
Or something.
So I would just ping Matthias.
But,
Yeah.
but we can send it around and get people's comments. If you've got comments,
I also
That would be
found an article that's open access. I don't know if I sent this around. I'm always nervous about sending emails to, to the group. But it's a journal article on infrared thermography and the built environment, a multi-scale review. So if people do want to get into the weeds and really understand, it has some case studies of some homes and some images and kind of what you're looking at and how to interpret it.
Nice.
So we can make that available. We can have a link in our document. We could,
Yeah, we could-
make it available through the library.
yeah, we could add
Okay,
it as a link here or something. for
Yeah.
People that want to get into it more.
okay.
So at this point, I think if you're okay, I'll take that tonight, and then I'll bring it to the library, and then Stephen, I'll get yours at some point.
Can I leave it somewhere in the town hall for you?
Yeah, or
The library.
I could, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, let me take the one that.
I can pick it up too. I mean, I'm not working, so.
Yeah, do you
If
want to bring it to the
me to drop
library?
it off at the library?
That'd be great, if you don't mind.
I live a block from there, so.
Okay, so,
So Stephen, can I call you sometime and come by and
Sure,
pick it
sure.
up?
Sure,
Okay.
either that or I could bring it directly to the library.
Okay. I think when I hand it off to the library, I'd kind of like to have both of them there and then kind of go through a little training session with the librarian or whoever it is who's going to go check them out.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, and plus, I'm not sure if the one I has all the accessories that go with it. I think it has one cable, that's about it.
it should be the case and the cable, right? That's pretty
Yeah,
much.
yes, it's case and cable.
Yeah.
But I thought there was a little card you could stick in it.
It should be in it.
there should be a memory card in
okay.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that'd be a good thing. We'll look over both of them before we give them to the library, make sure they've got all the stuff.
So,
Yes, and I think the instructions would be really helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
last time there was conversation about a micro SD adapter because the cord doesn't work so well. Oh,
Yeah. So
excellent.
Stephen bought two,
I
Excellent.
found them online, they were
Yep.
$10, so I bought two, and I think we
Fantastic.
can just, it says property of Durham Library, so hopefully people won't forget it.
That's great. And
But-
then also mentioned was maybe a little card with a QR code so people could input like, oh, here's what I found, I have questions, or,
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the instructions that I was gonna add to it, I'll get more comments from you, or
Okay.
whatever you want to add. At this point, all I have is our Energy Committee address.
Oh.
If you have comments, send stuff to,
I mean, I think that works.
but if
too.
we have a better suggestion,
I think when we,
That's maybe even better, just QR code. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know if everybody's comfortable using those. So.
yeah.
maybe when we drop it off at the library, we can just add, our intention is to provide these instructions.
Yeah.
What's the best way to do that? Either just
Yeah.
paper copy or a link to a website or whatnot,
Yeah, okay.
but I think collecting comments, I mean, and then I think you had a comment, but let me, the next step, so I guess what I'd like to try to do is like pilot this a little bit. What I mean by that is like take these two, bring them to the library, launch it, and then ping the person that reached out, say, hey, they're available at the library, go whatever, check it out.
Oh, John Baker.
John, yeah,
Mhm.
and then kind of include them a little bit in the test, like, hey, let us know your experience,
Right.
You're,
Coming in cold and with just these instructions.
Yeah.
How did you find it?
Yeah, and in the meantime, I think once they're in the library, we can also include it in Friday updates, right, and start that communication.
And of course, have the librarians get back to us with what they hear.
Yes. Right.
If they liked it or not.
Did you have a comment too, Chris?
No, I think I'm good. Everything, it all sounds good to me.
Okay.
I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, it's good to get it to the library before the weather gets too warm.
Yeah, exactly.
Is, the instructions that are providing, does it have a little something saying, please, we could ask them to provide feedback on the instructions to our email address?
Yeah, that's what I put at the end of the instructions.
Excellent.
It says, let us know if this device has helped you save energy, suggestions welcome, and then I give our email address.
Great.
So,
And we might want to, just in thinking about that, like, I think the library has other things that are energy related. I think they have a kilowatt device.
Oh, do they?
You
Yeah.
plug in between a light and a socket type of thing and measures the
Right.
usage. So like, these are different things we could maybe just promote.
Oh, that's a good point.
Through our Friday update segments and stuff. Okay, so Steve, do you have that? Here's what I'll do. I'll send an email to the the librarian that I've been in contact with you
Right, I
and
saw
with
that, yeah.
with Steven. I'll just say, all right, we're ready to hand these off. The two Stevens are gonna drop it off with the instructions, and then we'd like to get them launched.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Any other questions or comments about that topic? And if they're busy, maybe, like if they're in use a lot in circulation, we can talk, Todd, about maybe getting a third. I don't know. I think two may be enough. Like, we'll see how it goes, but.
I don't know how long the period is you can check stuff out for is. They could, they could shorten that if they need to
Yeah.
cycle through them faster.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, yeah. Okay, so next up is CPCNH updates, Steve H., so that's back to you.
Yeah, so, I sent out something in advance. I don't know if anybody had time to read it or not, but I put a little kind of summary on the web page under our Energy Committee about community power. It's called Community Power Values and Challenges. I was trying to kind of make the case in something a little bit longer than a Friday update, but something they can talk about. Where did CPCNH come from? Kind of the history. We started out, we were going to compete on price. The rules for how prices were set were one way, and now the rules have changed. So some of our initial goals of being able to be, price competitive, are harder to achieve now. So, plus we've had challenges that startups have. Your funding levels are low. You've got, you don't have big reserve, backups. And if you have a bad month or bad 6 months, things get tight. So that's kind of where we are and why our rates are not as competitive. We're trying to set rates at the point where we're not just barely meeting cost, but we're trying to get some money back into the reserve fund so that we can be more competitive later. Otherwise, you're just kind of barely hanging on by your teeth, always, just, barely getting above water. So we've got to take our medicine basically and try to get back on firmer footing. I don't think it's going to be easy this winter with the weather. I know it's going to be an interesting story.
I just wanted to bring up the page you're referring to, right? So this is the page,
okay,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is on our site, under the Durham Energy Committee. Why is it, yeah, I don't remember why it's called BOC, but anyway, Durham Energy Committee. And Steve, you have edit rights to the page, right? So you put this
Yeah,
out,
so-
which,
So if you go back to the figure there, the figure is where things started out. This shows the rates of the different utilities over time. Time is horizontal, so CPCNH is in red there. So we were able to meet or beat most of the utilities most of the time for the first year or two, because we had more flexibility in how we contracted for power, actually, than they did. So we had an advantage, and we were anticipating, retaining that advantage. So then the PUC changed the rules, and they made, they actually forced the utilities to only be able to buy half of their power in a block ahead of time, and the other half they had to buy on the short-term markets. So with the intent of, saving money, but the short-term markets are also more risky. So you could also, the prices could go up, and in fact, they go up and down every day. So it's not clear that that experiment is going to work really well for the utilities who haven't had any experience in doing this. Anyway, so they've set a price, for the next 6 months. If that's going to be a good bet or a bad bet, we're not going to find out until 6 months is over and they say, oops, we gotta make up for what we didn't collect. And then they have to recover that money within a year by raising their rates. So their rates might look really low now, and they may have a big correction factor come August or whatever. We might have, struggles in August because of this winter weather too. This winter weather is jacking up the utility, jacking up the load, and also the price of power. So anyway, that's kind of what I tried to lay out in so many words. But the other thing that I was trying to make the point is, as a startup, because you don't have these big reserves of money, you don't have, millions of stockholders and people, keeping your financial ratings high. We have to borrow money because you have to buy the power ahead of time before the money comes in to pay for it. So if you don't have a big reserve, you end up having to leverage that, and get short-term loans. So that's one of the things that's hampering our ability to be cost competitive. Is right now we have to use credit, in order to finance the cash flow. So as we build up our reserve, that's one of the targets. Is as you build up a reserve, you'll be able to absorb this kind of fluctuation without having to use credit instruments. Also, we have, as a small organization starting up, we don't have all the expertise that you need for doing this kind of work. So we're obviously contracting a lot of that out, and eventually we want to bring more of that work in-house, so that will also save money. So these are things that are kind of in the next couple of years as targets. But, meantime, people are looking at the rates and just, why am I here, with CPC&H? So I think the other things to try to emphasize is CPC&H's, other main goal is really advocating for a better energy marketplace for New Hampshire and New Hampshire consumers going forward. And that includes things like, more options for green energy, more options for distributed energy, solar, batteries, that we're advocating on the legislative side of things to try to get, New Hampshire into the 21st century or whatever, to make it a better place for, for the power market, and with the goal of making not only the energy cleaner, but make it cheaper for New Hampshire residents. So we feel we want to remind people that that's also a big goal of ours, as well as sponsoring projects like this solar farm that's going in Poverty Plains.
Right,
So
that's this one, right? Yeah, Poverty Plains.
So that's the one that's going to be, it's going to be the largest solar facility in New Hampshire. It should go online. I think Matthias said they're on schedule. It should be in June of this year. So we're looking forward to that. So anyway, so that text is in that page. And the thing I was going to ask Todd and others is whether you think it's worth doing something in the Friday update, having a small paragraph in the Friday update pointing to this or something and saying,
Yeah.
we know there's a lot of issues, concerns about CPC&H and rates and everything else. Please look at this, read it through, and kind of see where we are and where we're going.
Maybe you addressed it in here, maybe you mentioned it, but is the growth of customers, does that put a strain on the resources and the reserves?
The growth of customers. Well, the growth of customers is kind of, I mean, it's good and bad. I mean, it's not bad ever, but I mean, just like the power thing, the growth of customers, you know, has a lag thing too. You know, so you onboard customers. If you haven't, you have to buy power to accommodate those customers
Right.
too. So you have to kind of plan ahead of
You're
time
upfront, you're
when they're
up-
coming
you're-
on.
Yeah, you're doing that ahead of their payments.
Right.
You have to front that.
You have to,
Cost,
yes, you have to
right.
anticipate what their load is going to be. So when they brought on new communities, you know, there's a planning process that goes ahead of that. So they know they're going to cut over in X number of months and bring this much load in. So they put that into our shopping basket
Right.
for, you know, for load for that. But the thing that everybody's afraid of is the kind of death spiral scenario where people start jumping ship, and then you get too many people jumping ship, and then our collective load that we use to negotiate contracts with goes down. So
Right.
now we can't negotiate as good a contract because we're not as big a customer. So
So,
it's a
so,
concern.
so that was going to be, so on the Friday update, I think personally, I think it's a good idea. I don't know if that's a vote or what we need to do, but I do think it's a good idea to get it out there. The other thing, and this probably is a vote, do we want, so question, like, does the Durham Energy Committee want to express a statement of support of CPCNH in some way? Because that's kind of what I'm picking up on, like, through different days. People are like, we're not really sure. You know, people are very price sensitive, so they're like, okay, I'm switching from this to this. I think you, Steve, and Todd, your response, like, you're doing a good job describing the reasons and the understanding. But I just wonder if a statement of support of some kind, like, again, only if we feel that way, right, would help. I don't know if other
I think
towns are
yeah.
doing that. Yeah.
I think it's a good question. Go ahead. Was there another?
Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, no, Steve, I want to, number one, I really appreciate, the council last night during our meeting, we said right towards the end of the meeting right away, how appreciative we were of you and Todd, letting the public know where we stand, not just as an energy committee, but overall in terms of, where CPCNH is. I think putting in the Friday updates absolutely is going to be a big benefit to furthering that message. And I think a statement from the Energy Committee could be beneficial as well. I think you and Todd have done a fantastic job of being transparent. We talk about transparency with the town all the time, and folks are saying we need to be more transparent about things. Here's a great example of that in the Energy Committee kind of adding itself to that understanding and that focus. So just quickly, just want to say, I think that it would make a lot of sense to have that statement and to have that in Friday updates just to continue the trend that's been going here.
Okay.
Stephen, fellows, I see your hands up too.
Yes, I agree that it would be a good idea to include a reference to it in Friday updates. My only question is, if we tell people prices are high now because we're building our reserves, is that going to have an unintended consequence of people saying, well, I'll just wait until the reserves are built up and then I'll opt for a CPCNH?
Yep, that's certainly possible. I mean, people are obviously free to price shop every price period. Once somebody does it once, then they say, oh, okay, now I know what the procedure is if I want to change suppliers, so they may be less reluctant to do it again. I don't know how many people actually do it actively on a 6-month by 6-month basis. It tends to be kind of a sticky thing once people pick something, but there's this balance here between, do we try to get out in front of this and say, here's what's going on, and we know this is an issue, and we're trying to, be honest with it, or does that just generate more churn because people say, oh, geez, I forgot about that,
I better go change
I
my
better
ring.
go change, yeah.
Yes, are people signing up for CPCNH because of the possibly lower price they'll pay, or because they support the goals of CPCNH? Do we know that?
I don't know that we've got a good like exit survey or, that would have that. I think there was a heavy emphasis in the early days of price competitiveness when we were going out the door, because that's where we thought we could, carve out a market. So I think the early communities who signed on, there was usually a clause that, they would only start if the price was at or below the utility. So that was kind of the initial goal. It was pretty obvious, that we had to meet that. And we haven't added any new communities in the last year because we have been unable to be lower than the utilities. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
I would support both kind of proposals. One, the Durham Energy Committee, kind of, throwing its support behind CPCNH, and also just a quick thing in the Friday updates. I think that makes a series of kind of points. One is we're transparent. It's not transparency you get elsewhere. Two, stable business equals stable rates. And the way you build a stable business is by building up reserves, right? And building up reserves, that money is going to come back to you in the form of lower interest rates when we need to borrow on credit, because ultimately, as a business, those higher interest rate costs are going to be passed on to you, right? And so just kind of, it's in the longer thing that you showed there, but just some sort of
couple of bullets.
Just kind of like this, and if you want more detail on these points, kind of go and read. But we're an open book. We sort of show you everything. I think that's consistent with kind of the community ethos of the this kind of approach to utility. And I for one, I very much appreciate it. I'd pay more just for the transparency, to be honest. But I think there's to the lay person, and I would count myself among them, you think, okay, well, there's the cost to generate the energy, and then the company needs to take some, and then there's my rates. But it's obviously much more complicated than that, with reserves and borrowing and credit, and all that kind of thing. So just a few education points. I think most people are like, oh, okay, there's a plan here. They're not just, they haven't just greenwashed what and ultimately is something, different or, or whatever. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
I guess I would ask Todd too, or maybe the, town council, is the council, endorsing, is that a useful thing too, or is that not something the council would do? It's one thing for the energy community to show support, or the council would probably have to vote if they're going to endorse something too. What do you think, Todd? Is that worthwhile or problematic?
The council authorized joining, and in that way gave the green light to participate. I think it's not really a topic the council is focused on right now in any meaningful way. I think if enough residents came forward and expressed concern, they might be more focused on it. But really, at this point, they're looking to the Energy Committee to provide guidance. So
Okay.
I think it would make sense for the Energy Committee if the feeling was it's something worthwhile that we want to stick with and be involved with, even with the price differential we've experienced in the last 3 rate settings, that we're clear about that. And that, I think, sends a message to the community and the council. And on the other topic, whether to include information, I like to default toward transparency. Like sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
We're doing our best. This is why we're trying. And I think, as you mentioned, who you get your energy from, it's kind of sticky. People kind of more or less stay with the default because they're not used to dealing with it. They don't know how to change. They're not sure how to shop around. They don't know if the competitors are viable or if it's a scam. So it's hard. It's kind of hard to move around unless you're really dedicated. And even if you want to make a change, unless you're really on it, there's a delay as well. So you go to make the change. It could be a billing cycle or 2 before it switches. And so you think you're going to have 6 months of savings, but you really only get 2. And then the pricing set for 6 months But, if in fact it goes the other way on you, then you're stuck with the supplier that's giving you a deal that's actually worse than where you were. So, my sense is over time, and this is something we'll monitor, CPCNH will be a winner. We had 2 good rate settings where we saved money for people, 3 now where it's been a little more expensive. My guess is it's going to be really close the next rate setting. With the conflict in Iraq, Iran, that's going to affect energy pricing. So that could affect the short-term market for, the utilities, which they'll have to make that up the next time around, and CPCNH might be in a different situation. So I think the jury's still out, and we need to take a little longer-term perspective. And by being a member, as Steve mentioned, it gives us the opportunity to participate in like the Poverty Plains Array, which is positive, and there may be other renewable opportunities. And it gives residents who want to pay a little more for a greener option the chance to do that, where sticking with Eversource doesn't give you that. So I still feel good about it.
So with all that said, is there a motion to put together a statement of supports from the Energy Committee?
Can I ask a question
Yes.
really quick? I looked into CPCNH, and this is actually a personal sort of like household question. So, we have a solar array and net metering and all that kind of thing. The last time I looked, we were not eligible for CPCNH. Is that still the case, and is that moving?
It's still the case.
Yeah.
It's stuck in these battles with the PUC and the utilities about what they say they can do in their metering and their compensation.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, I think you can get CPCNH, but you just can't get the credits. So if
Yeah,
you're back,
yeah. So
which may not make it.
So the main distinction there is, like, for example, I switched over. I've got solar panels, but I use more than I generate over the year.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I never accumulate a surplus.
Yeah.
So for me and anybody who doesn't generate a surplus, it's okay.
It's okay.
You'll still get credit for your generation. It's for people who generate a surplus and want to turn that into dollars or credits, they're going to lose out.
And will CPCNH, we don't ever, we're on Eversource now, we don't ever receive any dollars. We.
Do you get Rex? You sell
Yeah,
your
we get
Rexes?
credits,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
that,
Rex.
you know, kind of cycles.
No, but you get paid for your Rex as well as you get paid credits
Well,
for...
we get paid a little bit for our Rex.
Oh, well, you can sell them to CPCNH, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I should do
Anyway.
a little bit more digging then. Yeah.
But it's the accounting of you feeding back to the grid,
Correct.
going through CPC. So that's the part that. So
Yeah.
you can get CPCNH, but that accounting piece isn't complete.
Yeah, so we're below
Isn't
net
working.
zero, and so that just we wouldn't accumulate a credit
Right.
with CPCNH because of the net metering.
Yeah. So we could talk more about it, but
Yeah.
I did it just because I was told that this can work, and so I said, well, let me just try it. And so it's working. The credits are still flowing in my kilowatts every month, that I overgenerate.
Yep.
So that part is all still
Yeah.
working.
But that's hung on the PUC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues like that Eversource and some of the other utilities are pleading, their systems are so outdated, they have trouble updating their billing and blah, 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 Well,
Poor Eversource.
yeah, they just had record profits again. Oh, poor guys, yeah. So anyway, it's a battle that, that we have this legislative committee who, that's their job, is they're out there, trying to fight the good fight in the legislature and raising our awareness for all these bills that are, affect us badly and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
The truth is our kilowatts are in terms of plus and minuses have been stable since we built the house, but the how that shows up in dollars has changed remarkably. In other words, we're getting far fewer credits from Eversource than we did even 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's less and less benefit to sending surplus into the grid with Eversource than
Yeah.
there was. So
So on the
yes,
motion.
yeah.
Good question though. Like,
Yeah.
and I'd love to learn from your experiences. Maybe we can. That's another Friday update. We
Yeah,
can
sure.
share. But is there a motion? Like, how are people feeling about that? And Todd, even with your comments, I couldn't tell completely if you were in favor of the statement of support or.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's good, yeah.
I mean, I think your question about like, are we going to generate more? Like, oh my gosh, I should look at my electric bill. Like that could happen. But again, transparency is probably the principle that we.
Should the statement be in the context of the climate action plan? I mean, and how this supports the goals?
Yes,
Yep, yep.
I think
That's
that's
a
a
good
great point. And the goals and the principles about why we entered this. So I suppose we need a motion, do we need a motion for that? Or,
Yeah. So I would move that the Durham Energy Committee, in alignment with the Climate Action Plan, indicates its support for the CPCNH and does so publicly via a statement on Friday updates.
awesome. Second?
Second.
All right, and then quick votes around the horn here. Stephen Fellows,
Aye.
you did the motion, you seconded.
Oh.
So
Aye.
Aye, not voting, okay. So motion passes.
Did you
I
get
don't know if
Robin?
What's that?
Oh, he's not voting.
Rob is not
not
voting, yes, because, yes, not everybody's a voting member. So that passes. Now the question is, who will draft the statement?
Well, I can try drafting something. I think you got some good suggestions to align it with the climate action plan, and we could make it part of the Friday update, I guess, and say, Energy Committee, supports CPCNH in line with our climate action plan, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And then, for more information on, why we support it, we have a page here that we'd like you
Yeah,
to read.
I like that.
Does that sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
I can send a draft around, and how do we do that on email? Can we get comments?
You could send it, the draft you're thinking about to everybody. I'd suggest blind copying people.
Yep.
Okay.
And then encourage people, you could ask people to send their response only to you.
Okay.
And that way, we're not creating a meeting, and you can then take that and finalize it.
That's great.
Okay, good, thank you.
And then maybe, Harry, we don't do this in every meeting, but I'm kind of curious, as a Durham resident, but I don't know if you're open to just sharing your experience with CPCNH, and if you even are tracking what we're talking about. I'm just curious, if you wouldn't mind coming to the table, yeah. And you can say no, by the way, because there is no obligation for this, but real-time polling of Durham residents.
There we go. Poll of one. I am 99% sure we are Eversource customers. I think to your point of stickiness, it was one of those things where it was the easiest and sort of like most direct thing when we moved in. And life is busy and complicated, and it was one of those things where it's easy to fall out of mind. So this it helped me where I was.
Yeah.
I looked it up and was on my phone, kind of looking it up this evening.
So you should see a supplier line on your bill.
Yeah.
And it says Eversource?
Did you move in recently?
2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago, okay. Because the problem, there's another crazy thing, is that people that come in, new residents, get put on Eversource by default.
Yeah.
And then periodically, we're supposed to go through and switch those people over to our town's default. And that you may have fallen in the gap where we haven't done that for a while, and you may have gotten switched this spring. I don't know.
I'll take a peek. I mean, yeah, like this is.
I appreciate your comments, because I'm just kind of curious, and
'Cause
hopefully you don't mind.
There should have been a letter that went out to everybody who was in that category. But if you deliberately chose, I don't know, then you might not have gotten the letter.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. If you took no action, it's kind of like those people get rolled over. If you stated a preference, then you stick with your preference.
Yeah, I don't think we stated a preference, but again, this is one of those areas where it's like, this is helpful as a reminder to be like, oh, let me go check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you, I appreciate your
Yeah,
comments.
for sure.
All right, with that, unless there's any other comments on CPCNH, we'll move forward. Actually, Malcolm's not here, so there was going to be an update, and Matt, I don't know if you have anything on this, like, it's just UNH related, but update on UNH engagement for student work, right? So this was when Malcolm was talking to one of the professors about, like, senior projects, I think.
We've been engaged with the sustainability dual major
Oh, right,
and their capstone projects.
right.
And we put forward some ideas, and there's currently no projects active this semester. Those ideas are still in the pool, so they will be reconsidered in the fall.
Okay.
And that's kind of where we stood.
Okay, so for future agendas, I can drop that from the next, because nothing's going to change until
Nothing's
the fall.
going to change until the fall.
Okay.
Right.
So
All right.
that list of tentative projects that we had proposed, there wasn't any bite on any of those? Is that, or was that the whole?
There was interest in the one that I put forward, but then I was very busy this semester, so they said that they would hold it till the fall. But I put forward the problem, the question is, are there neighborhoods in Durham that might benefit from a district geothermal
Okay.
community heat
Right.
project?
Okay, so I'll remove that from future agendas, but we'll,
Yes.
please be sure
updates
to
will
remind
be-
me
okay.
when, in the fall, or whoever's chair at that point, in the fall. All right, and then Durham EV charger report. So like I mentioned, Matthias isn't here today. He does have access to the EV charger information, and Todd's on his way back. But if I recall from the last meeting, just to recap, the new EV charger is installed, right, Matt?
The
at
one,
one
the
location?
additional 2-plug at Petty is installed.
Right, so there's
So-
now 3 heads or 2 heads?
There's 3 heads and 6 plugs. There'll
Nice.
be 2 more heads and 4 more plugs. In the summer, UNH is putting that construction off till after commencement.
Which is by the rec center, right? That's where
Right.
those other plugs
Yes.
will be on. Great. So Durham we will be adding 3 more heads and 6 plugs in total? I'm trying to remember what the lift was.
That would be 6 more plugs for this calendar year.
Yeah, that's great.
Great.
Paul, were you going to add, so on the EV charger, so you mentioned it briefly in the opening, but you said that the committee's passing,
We have a public hearing on March 11th.
Yep.
For the zoning change to permit EV chargers as an accessory use everywhere and as a primary use in a number of locations throughout the town. Special exception in the residential zones.
so just help me if I'm wrong here, right? But like currently, the only place where you can have level 3 charging was in Gas Station Alley, I think. right?
Courthouse,
Right,
yeah.
Right. And now with this, if this passes,
This passes, anybody could put an EV charger, any business could throw an EV charger into their parking lot for whatever reason they want, pretty much.
including level 3 charging, where
Yeah.
it's available, where the electricity is available.
So is level 2 permitted now, but not level 3, or what is or is it?
Right now, you can put one in your garage
Oh,
for your own use,
But
but
not-
nobody can put one out for somebody else's use. Okay, so if, if you have a business somewhere in town who, they actually have to ask permission of the planning board to put an EV charger in.
okay,
It
so
has
the
to be
ones,
part of their site plan review. Whereas if it would still need to be part of the site plan review, but this sort of like says, hey, go do it. We're giving a push now as opposed to, and by making it a primary use, we're also saying, hey, we'd be happy for you to go out and, if you've got a parking lot near Route 4, throw some level 3s out there. Go ahead, do it.
so the ones that we have now at the library in Pettybrook, those went through the process where they got
They're
an
municipal
exception.
owned, so they get to ignore all the zoning.
Okay, got it.
But
Right.
like 121 Technology Drive, if they were like, hey, we want to put in a level 3 charger,
They can,
They can.
they'll be able to.
They'll be
Right
able
now,
to.
they have a half dozen level 2s, I think, for their own personal use.
right? That's great. Yeah, that's great. And then, again, reminder, March 3rd, support, if we could show up.
March 11th, yes.
So, March 11th. I had it backwards there. Okay, moving on, Earth Day, Durham Day. So this is going to be upon us before we know it, right? So it's already March. Earth Day is in April. I believe last year and even the year before, if I recall, we didn't do an Earth Day event. We combined with Durham Day and focused on education and whatnot at that event versus a separate Earth Day event. Is that what we want to do again this year? I'm seeing nods. I mean, it's certainly easier to coordinate.
Yeah.
It seems like it rained every Earth Day. but-
Yeah.
It is April, I mean,
Exactly. So I think, again, just throwing out a question there. So if we're not going to hold an event for Earth Day, which again makes sense, is there specific messaging or focus for the month of April that we would like to, I don't know, advocate for Friday updates, other things? I don't know, just throwing it out there. I don't know.
What about a switch to CPCNH iPad booth? You know what I mean? Like, here's a bunch of information on CPCNH.
So at Durham Day, I think that'd be. or you
Well,
said
yeah, sure.
For
Yeah,
Durham
exactly.
Day.
Durham
Okay,
Day, yeah. Oh, if we're combining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea. So Durham Day, Todd, remind me, what is Durham Day?
I don't know the date yet.
April 22nd.
I don't know.
No, that's Earth
Durham
Day.
Day.
Oh, that's
That's Earth
It's-
Day.
Earth Day. Oh, and
Yeah.
Durham.
It's,
We don't know.
they may not have set the date yet. I
But it's
haven't
usually in
heard-
the summer,
Yeah,
right?
it's usually in June.
Okay.
Usually
Okay.
around June.
So what I'm hearing is that this committee would like to do something with Durham Day when it's scheduled
Yeah.
in June-ish, right?
Okay.
So no in-person event for Earth Day. And again, just floating the idea, do we want to leverage the Earth Day news to do some kind of marketing campaign or something, with Friday updates or any other medium? Just throwing that out there. I don't know. We don't have to decide right now. We'll have one more meeting before Earth Day. I just wanted to kind of put that forward. Okay. So that's all the activities towards 2026. Before we switch to the election, anything folks want to add, like kind of new business related to those activities? Anything folks want to throw out there, or? I feel like we're focused on the right things. I think, I think our goals are standing true, right? The different goals that we set out for the year. So, all right. So on the election for officers, right? So just a reminder, we have a chair, which is my seat right now. And then last year we added a vice chair kind of as a backup, which has been really helpful, I will say that, which is Matthias right now. Both of those, so I expressed last meeting that I'm going to step down as chair. I don't know Matthias's intention, but it doesn't really matter. Like, if somebody wants to compete
I
against,
think he wants to be chair again.
it could be. It could be. Who knows?
I heard that.
He's not here to defend himself.
So maybe let's do this. Is there anybody nobody expressed interest through email, but is there anybody here that would like to express interest in the chair role? Let's start with that one. And if not, we will table this until April, but then we will need to decide. We can do that, right? Yeah. And hopefully at an April meeting, we'll have a little bit more folks and we can kind of talk about it. Any interest for chair right now? Or do you guys think tabling is a good idea?
Me too. Right, I'm chair at work. I don't know if I can do 2 chairs.
Okay.
But I'll think about it.
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah.
So, and I'll remind people, hopefully in like 2 weeks, like, hey, reminder, this is coming up. Honestly, I feel, I don't know how hard it was for Matthias and the previous chairs, but I feel like now that we have this agenda set, we have the goals, like it's not a ton of work. I mean, I respond to some of Todd's notes. I'm not great at doing that either, but, you know, it's not a huge part. And then it's like running the meeting, facilitating the meeting, right? That's really the level of work. So, all right. So with that said, we'll table the elections until next meeting. Does that mean we'll actually potentially end a half an hour early, or is there another topic that folks would like to throw out there?
You've got, I reached out to the UNH folks that are interested in the agrivoltaics. I told them about this meeting in case they wanted to come and make some kind of, they made a short presentation at the agriculture committee meeting. Basically just kind of introducing the idea, saying they kind of want to meet the stakeholders, they want to, you know, start understanding where people might find interest or support, et cetera. So I haven't heard anything more from that. I guess they didn't contact you, so they didn't feel the need to come to this meeting.
Yeah. I don't.
What is, can you give us a?
I mean, they don't really have a proposal. They want to have they want to be involved in initiating and or sponsoring an agrivoltaics project in Durham.
What is
So
that?
what,
So that's
please elaborate.
that is the marriage of solar arrays and agriculture.
Oh, I see.
So you can grow crops or
In the shade of the solar panels.
or have sheep grazing or do so. You know, I guess part of the initial goal of UNH as a land grant college was to understand and promote the
Agriculture and
agriculture
mechanical,
in,
that's right.
in New Hampshire. So to help farmers, you know, be productive and successful. So, you know, since everybody knows it's not easy to be a successful farmer in New Hampshire, another way of making your land, you know, more profitable is potentially putting up solar arrays. But nobody wants to look at a whole field of solar panels.
Are there zoning issues that might emerge that we,
That's a good question. Don't know.
our expert?
Potentially, but probably not.
Okay. Not obviously.
Yeah. The other thing of future interest, so that's a good future interest topic.
Yeah.
I think we talked about balcony solar at one point. That's now legal in Utah. And I'm kind of curious if UNH is thinking about, if that ever becomes viable in New Hampshire, you know, will the dorms allow
There was
balcony
a-
solar?
I think I saw a bill.
I think
on
there's a
that.
bill in the legislature to allow that.
Just in a town where we have a lot of rentals, right? And like people that are, I'm just kind of curious. Balcony, you familiar with it?
It sounds like you put a solar panel on your balcony.
Yeah, and you don't have to have a physical balcony, but it's essentially a panel
Okay,
that just
you can
plugs
plug
into
into
a
your wall.
110
Right.
socket. So
Right.
no interchange, like no connection agreement with Eversource or anything like that. It just plugs in.
Right. So generally UNH is not advancing solar because of the cogen plant. And in terms of the economics, it's not, doesn't rise up to that. If there was more of a distributed effort, that may be worth looking at
Yeah.
And
to lower usage.
I don't believe students pay for the electricity.
Well, I was just
in the
thinking of that
dorms,
actually.
so
Yeah, I'm like that. So maybe the dorms is a bad
it would be
example,
the off-campus housing.
but
where
the
you-
off-campus,
housing
yeah.
would be
Yeah,
more.
that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Any other topics? Otherwise, we can, if there's.
I have a question.
Oh yes.
Why don't we have a EV charger at the town hall?
Todd. No, it did come up, I think, as you had the funding for this year, right? We did.
Yeah, so funding's always a concern, but in particular, we considered that when this site was developed as the town hall, and we have very limited parking here. So there was a concern about taking one or two spaces away from the general parking field where parking was already very limited. So if at some point we were to acquire like, for example, the green space next door, and that created more space, then maybe it would make sense. But even as it is, there, at peak meeting nights, we don't have enough space around the building.
Yeah.
That was the reason.
Any other topics, or is there a motion to adjourn?
There is a motion to adjourn.